called Picking Up the Pieces. Good morning. Hey, Natasha. And talk to you a little bit about how to pick up the pieces and even how to recognize that you haven't necessarily picked up the pieces and how important this is. So do me a favor, just go drop this video, share this video with someone, put it in someone's hands. I know just what God showed me is going to be a blessing to someone else. Just how to resurrect yourself, to get out of your dry places, to get out of your dying places or the places in which you haven't yet healed. A lot of times we don't even realize that we are still broken. And so in that, we're missing a lot of opportunity. There's a song that I've been listening to by it just popped on too, by Karan Hawthorne, and it says down goes wrong, and it just talks about all of our strongholds and all our other things that need to die. And oftentimes when we start thinking about picking up the pieces, we don't necessarily think about the things that need to die or die in us. So I want to just share something with you this morning. I'm not going to be long. You can feel free to ask a question if you need to. This is kind of real coffee and conversations with Lakeisha. Don't hold this video onto yourself. Share it. Put it in somebody's inbox. It's amazing how many people that I run into that are fractured, that are still fractured, that things are happening in their lives and they're not walking into the fullness of who they are because of their fractured places. They're not enjoying relationships the way that they should. They're not growing the way that they should. They're not experiencing the abundant life that they should be experiencing because they really just don't know how to pick up the pieces. They haven't figured out, how do I pick up pieces? How do I move past this funky place? How do I move past this thing that's had a hold on me? How do I even recognize that I still need, that I'm still in pieces, that I'm not yet whole? And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about that this morning. So one of the first things that I want to share with you this morning is one of the very first things that happens in order for you to pick up the pieces is to understand that you're broken. You need to realize and understand that you're broken, where you're broken, how you're still broken, the types of things that have happened in your life that cause you to be broken, some things that have caused you to be broken for serious things. So one of the first things in picking up the pieces is understanding or knowing the signs that you're still broken. And one of the very first things in understanding that you're still broken or a sign of is unforgiveness. So you have to ask yourself, what is it that I haven't let go of yet? What is it? What story am I still telling? Even if it's not forgiving yourself, what story am I still telling? What pain am I still holding on to? It's okay for you to testify. It's okay for you to share the story. But in the spirit of triumph, at the point that you're not broken, how you tell the story is everything. If you're still holding on to those places and forgiveness can't take place, and I'm talking about yourself, if you're still rehearsing it, if you're still nursing it, if it's not a but God moment at the end of that story, but how God helped me to triumph, but how God positioned me in a different place, then there's probably a sign that you're still in pieces, that you're still broken, that you've yet to begin to pick up the pieces. Kathy McVeigh, I read a book by her one time, and she said, don't nurse it, don't rehearse it, just curse it and disperse it. So if you still if you're still dealing with those things, then that's a sign that you're still broken. Also, being overly critical is a sign that you're broken. If we feel like we need to constantly critique everything everybody else is doing, then we're probably still broken in some places in our lives. And what happens with us, it's very easy to critique or criticize those around us, because then we don't have to deal with what's wrong with us. And we don't have to deal with that. We don't have to deal with what's wrong with us. We don't have to talk about what's wrong with us. So if we are overly critical, if there's some unforgiveness still in there, then those are signs that you're still broken. If you got to have something to say about everything else that everybody else is doing, then there is something in you that hasn't reached a level of wholeness or healing that you need to reach, right? Because, and I don't want to get into what the scripture says. I don't want to do a lot of scripture this morning. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know who I am in Christ. I can't. But we know that in the scripture it tells you, how dare you look at someone's speck in their eye and not deal with the plank in your own eye. And so if you're in a position also that you're constantly critiquing and criticizing, and some of you guys who were created to groom and to coach and to minister and to teach, this is me included, we have to be careful in how we share information with broken people, because they're not going to be able to receive that anyway. So in finding true wholeness, your primary focus every day is, how do I become a better me? It's not for you to figure out what's wrong with everybody else. Anytime you find yourself in the position that your day is consumed with fixing everybody else, you probably haven't left any time to fix yourself. You probably haven't left any time. And that is also easy for us to do. It's easy for us to fix other people and not fix ourselves. It's easy for us to be focused on other people and not ourselves, because then we don't really have to deal with the broken things in our lives that we really don't want to discuss anyway. So if unforgiveness is at the root, even forgiving yourself, right? If you're overly critical, critiquing, always got something to say about somebody else, then I promise you there's still something broken in you. Another thing that you need to look for in picking up this pieces and understanding brokers is look at your repetitive cycles. A lot of times people talk about breaking strongholds, but I find strongholds occur all the time and are acknowledgeable when we look at our repetitive cycles. Same type of relationships, drawing the same type of people. Somebody said something to me one time. I said, why? And I know that the anointing draws, right? My anointing, I got healing in me. So my anointing draws people anyway. But I also had to recognize my accountability and my ownership for the type of relationships that I was drawing. I am a fixer by nature. And so I was drawing men to me who needed to be fixed, but who weren't ready to be fixed. Who needed to be fixed, but who weren't ready to be fixed. And one of my male friends challenged me, and he said to me, he said, hey, Lakeisha, he said, if this is the type of man that you're constantly drawing, then that energy is still connected to you somewhere. That energy is still connected to you somewhere. So repetitive cycles occur when we don't recognize the places in which we're still broken. Wait, now, and then let me be clear. This doesn't have to do with just your relationships with others. This could be your finances. This could be how you hold on to a position or a job. Those type of things are repetitive cycles. But if you don't catch and understand your cycles, you'll continue in the same behavior. You'll call it a stronghold. You'll think you need deliverance, when in all actuality, what needs to occur is that you begin to recognize the cycles and break the cycles off your life. That you begin to recognize those cycles and make some changes. So right now, I'm really big into financial stewardship. I'm challenging everybody around me financially. I've recognized is people don't want you to talk to them about their money and being sound financially. And so we're going through this study and I'm watching my finances. I had to go back and look at the places in my life where I was repeating cycles in my finances. If I got into a crisis, was I really believing God to get me out this crisis, or was I solving the solution on my own? Was I begging, or was I looking for someone else to do something for me that God needed to do? Was I charging, right? Was I creating debt because I wanted to look a certain way or have a certain thing? Or was I creating debt and taking out loans because I wanted to expand my business? So the other thing is, you have to look at your cycles. You have to look at, how am I circling back into these same patterns? Because if you're circling back into those same patterns, then you'll recognize, I'm still broken in this area. Brokenness comes in layers. Brokenness comes in layers. All your brokenness is not going to go away in one night or in one circumstance or at one service or at one deliverance. Wherever you're weak, I'm telling you, the enemy is coming in like a flood. So you got to slow down. And that's the problem with today's society. We move so fast, so we're not able to pay attention to our cycles. Another thing that may be clear that you're broken is if somebody can't, if you ain't got nobody around you that can tell you anything, that can coach you through anything, that can talk to you about your deficits, if you're so easily offended when someone wants to come to you or share with you something they've noticed, and you know this person loves you, you're probably more broken than you've realized. And you don't even realize how broken you are. If no one can tell you anything, then that is definitely a sign that you're broken, because you're so easily offended by what could very well be your truth. See, someone may see something that you don't see. Someone that may see something that you don't see. And so if you're in a position that no one can tell you anything, then that's probably a sign that you're still walking in a level of brokenness. You got to have some people connected to you that can tell you the truth. And I'm not talking about a truth that's getting or cutting at you. I'm talking about a truth that's going to motivate you to become a better you. Someone that says, I love you, sis, but you're a little out of control. Someone that says, I love you, sis, but you're a little bit reckless. And if you can't ever receive healthy, constructive criticism from people you love, then I'm telling you, that's a sign that you're broken. And it's going to be very hard for you to pick up the pieces. And the reason that it's going to be very hard for you to pick up the pieces is because your ears are not open. God often speaks to us through people. God often speaks to us through people. And so if no one can tell you absolutely anything, then there's some brokenness in you. And what happens is there's a level of pride and there's a level of haughtiness that you're walking in. And that's why we're still seeing the brokenness, those broken areas in your life. Some of the things that I look for, I pay real good attention to people around me. When I'm in conversations with people, God is just giving me this gift of discernment that I can tell when you believe what you really believe. I can tell when there's a spirit of jealousy operating around me. I can kind of tell when you're really not sold out on what you said. I can tell when you're really not operating in that wisdom. Like there's a certain confidence, there's tonation in your voice, there's rate of speech, your face does things. And so another way to determine your brokenness, right, is by your language. By your language. If you believe God is a healer, then you speak healing. If you believe God is provider, then you speak provision. And this is just like whatever. You can tell in your language. You can tell in your language a lot about where you are and where a person is, and whether or not a person really truly believes what you're saying to them. You really truly believe. So in this, understanding, the first key to picking up the pieces, and I've just given you some things, is understanding your brokenness. Ask the Lord to show you how you talk. Ask the Lord to show you. A lot of times we're missing what we need because we're not sensitive enough to the voice of the Lord. We're not spending enough time with him so that he can show you your language. Your language is a clear indication of what you believe. Your language is a clear indication of what you believe. Whatever you believe is coming out your mouth. It's coming out your mouth. Why? Because it's in your heart. Whatever you believe is coming out your mouth. It's going to show up in your actions, your thoughts, your deeds. If there's a hater in your heart, it's going to show up. And when people get success and victory, how you respond, whatever's in your heart, I'm telling you, you can't even if you wanted to, you can't hold it in. It's going to come out your mouth. So if you believe, for me, for God, if you believe God to be a certain thing in your life, it's coming out your mouth and you're walking that out in your actions. And so you have to watch that, because what happens is in our brokenness, we make excuses and we justify why we're broken. Well, nobody ever helped me. I didn't have the support. I can't accomplish or do this because I'm a single mom. There's been single moms for generations. Like, there's been single moms for generations. I can't do this because I don't have anything. Everything that I have started from absolutely nothing. Everything that I have, I started from nothing. Sickle cell support services started from nothing. Coffee and Conversations started from nothing. Single mom, widow, or whatever. So we have to really ask the Lord, show me what I sound like. Ask your consciousness to give you a clear vision of what you look like when you're talking to others, so that you can understand the fractures and the fractured places that are in you. It is so hard for me to be around people sometimes, because my spirit is like, oh my gosh, I need to do something about this. And the Lord is just listen to them. And what I figured out, even in being critical or criticizing or critiquing, because I am that of an intercessor, when the Lord shows me something about someone, I'm now like, okay, I need to write this down. I need to take notes on this. And then what I need to do next is get in position and pray for a person. And what I found out is, if I get in position and pray for a person, if there's somebody that's not available or can receive from me, what God will do is, in my prayers will pierce their heart, or pierce God, God pierces their heart. And then I'm able to come back and have a conversation with them. And how I know that they're ready for that conversation, because the very thing that I've been praying about, they will bring it to me. And then I can open up the door and say, can I share with you what the Lord showed with me? So there's a wisdom in that, even for those of you who are in ministry, those of you who are coaching, those of you who want a healthier way in dealing with relationships, remembering that love is patient. So if you can't accept another person's perspective, then you probably are still very broken in so many areas. You got to be able to accept another person's perspective. So those are just a few things that I'm sharing with you on how to identify your brokenness. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about identifying your brokenness first is because you can't get healed until you realize you're sick, right? You can't get healed until you realize you're sick. A lot of y'all know my story. You know that I was a widow. I'm a widow. You know that my husband died. There was a whole lot of suffering going on. And for a while, I was making excuses for my grief. Now, people will tell you, oh, nobody can tell you how long you can grieve. I believe that. That's from a broken relationship. That's when you make a bad decision. I believe that nobody can tell you how long you can grieve. But I do believe that you can tell yourself how long you're going to grieve. You can make a decision that it stops today. You can make a decision that I'm going to heal today. You can make a decision. So nobody else can tell you how long to grieve. Nobody else can tell you when to get better. Nobody can tell you when to get over the relationship. No one else can tell you when to get over your pitiful self, right? Nobody else can tell you but you got to make a decision. Today, something different is going to occur in my life. Today, I'm tired of feeling this way. Today, I'm making a decision to do something different. Today, I'm going to make a decision to get help. You got to be the person, because here's the thing. It's not going to work until the person makes a decision. The only way you're going to be able to pick up the pieces is when you make the decision to pick up the pieces. I can cheer you on. I can say whatever I need to say. I can try to smack some senses into you, but not until you make a decision to pick up the pieces are you going to get past this grief. When I made a decision, when I realized that the grief was taking over my life, it was taking over my relationship with my kids, it was taking over my ministry, two, I justified the grief. I justified some negative behaviors in the grief. I justified this is why I was acting this way. When I started making all these excuses and had all these justifications, I made a decision. I said, you know what? Grief has lived in Lakeisha's house long enough. Now it's time for us to be happy. Now it's time for me to be victorious. Now it's time for me to be prosperous. Now it's time for me to live my dreams. I served, and actually somebody messaged me and told me, you served your husband so well. You served him well. You loved him good. You took care of him the best to your ability. Now it's time for Lakeisha to go and live. Now it's time for, and the Lord took me to a particular scripture, and it was in Genesis. And Abraham had lost Sarah, and so he loses Sarah, and it says he knelt and he got back up. And when he knelt, he paid homage, he paid tribute to her, and then he got back up and he made a decision to pursue life again. He winds up getting married again, and he begins to experience. So the next thing picking pieces is you got to make a decision to pick up the pieces. You got to make a decision that I'm not going to be stuck at the place of my brokenness. And a lot of times we stay in our wailing, we stay in our grief, we stay in our hard places. And as long as we continue to make excuses, we'll never start picking up the pieces. We'll never start. It took me 10 years to get my bachelor's degree. I was a single mom. I had my oldest son at 18. And I could have allowed that to be an excuse. It took me 10 years. But one day I made a decision. No matter how long this is going to take me, I'm going to move forward towards this, even if it's bit by bit, even if it's only one class at a time. I'm not going to allow the ultimate goal of what to stop at the broken place where I had this baby out of wedlock. I'm not going to allow this to stop right here. I'm going to manage me. I'm going to manage my emotions. I'm going to manage my feelings. I'm going to manage my haughtiness. I'm going to manage my pride. And I'm going to make a decision today that I'm going to do something about it. Nothing happens if you just lay there. Nothing happens if you just lay there. Nothing happens if you wallow in your grief. Nothing happens if you wallow in your guilt. Nothing happens if you wallow in your worry. Nothing happens if you wallow in your depression. Nothing happens. Nothing happens, but you become more like that. You become more like that. In the last 4 years, I've lost 4 significant people in my life. In the last 4 years, I've lost 4 significant people in my life. My husband, my grandma. I mean, I've lost all of this. And so the decision and the choice, and people always say, why are you so strong? I'm like, because I just refuse to die. I just refuse to die. My cup today says she is fearless because he is faithful. Because I understand, and I'll take the word literally for what it is. I'm taking the word and I'm eating this word every day. And I'm making, Casey's choices to move forward, choices to win, choices to get outside. It's so easy to be in this victim mentality, like you have no control over the position you're in. You have a whole lot of control over the position you're in. Some of you need to pick up the pieces and get outside of where you are. Sometimes the pieces can't be picked up in the place that you are. Sometimes you got to move to another city, another state, another country. You got to get a new set of friends. Picking up the pieces begins with you making a choice or a decision saying, you know what? Grief ain't going to win in my life. It's fine. And then also, sometimes you got to have an aid or some help. You got to have somebody who can help you reconstruct what this look like, but you got to make a firm decision. And that's the thing. People are always like, well, how do you get over? I just made a decision not to be pitiful. I'm not going to be pitiful. I'm not getting ready to let my circumstances or situations overwhelm me. I'm not getting ready to sit around. Yep, I'm in debt, but I'm coming out of debt. I made a decision. And then my last thing that I'm going to tell you with picking up the pieces is you got to have a plan of action. You got to have a plan of action. You cannot just make a decision and not have a plan of action. You got to have a plan of action. You got to have a plan of action. You got to put something in place. You got to restructure your system. You got to recognize your weaknesses, right? Make a decision to get up. Make a decision to move from it. Make a decision, I'm not living life at this pace anymore. And then you got to put in a plan of action. If you know you are bad with your finances, you need to go get a financial counselor, or you need to find somebody who's better in their finances to connect to, because right now, whatever it is you've been doing isn't working for you. It isn't working for you. Same thing. If you've sucked, y'all know I am in relationships, then you got to make a decision today. I'm not having any more bad relationships. Take some time to yourself. Learn yourself. Get to know yourself. Get whole in yourself, so that you don't walk into a situation where you're repeating the same cycles again, right? Drawing that same energy to you. You're going to keep drawing that same type of girl, that same type of guy. If you don't center yourself and become whole, that needs to be your plan of action. If you keep having bad relationships, the only relationship you need right now, for me, is Jesus and yourself, until you figure out how to come out of these bad relationships. But you cannot pick up the pieces if you don't have a plan of action. You can't pick up the pieces if you don't have a plan of action. If you don't have something in place, right? You got to have a plan of action in place. Andrea said, no more stinking thinking. So what's your plan of action? Maybe that you need to get counseling. Maybe that if I had to go see a grief counselor, I didn't just operate in grief. I had to go get outside help to teach me to process my grief. I had to do that. It was necessary for me. And especially in African-American communities, we're afraid to get help in counseling. I had to go get help. I had to have an outside force come in and help me process through my grief, help my sons process through their grief, because we couldn't manage it on our own. If you're repeating the same cycles, it's a sign that you can't manage your brokenness on your own and you need some help. But pride, right, will not allow us to get help. Haughtiness will not allow us to get help. We're so afraid of being broken, right? We're so afraid of telling people we're broken. We become imposters. And I'm speaking on this in a conference in October. We become imposters, pretending we're okay when we're really not okay, and we're not our authentic self. And we can't figure out why stuff around us is not moving, why it's not gyrating, why it's not producing. And it's not producing because your seed is fake. You're an imposter. What you're doing is not. So if I'm going to pick up the pieces, I got to have an action plan. I got to first recognize my brokenness, and then I've got to put a plan of action in place. I got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. It stops here. Talked about some stuff with my finances today. Stops today. I do not serve money. Money serves me. I'm not serving. I'm not going to be a slave to money. I'm not going to be a slave to things. From this day forward, money serves me. When I got tired of my grief, I'm not being in grief anymore. I love my husband. I honor him. And the way that I can honor him is carrying out this vision of this nonprofit organization. But I'm not getting ready to sit up and be in grief. I'm not getting ready to not date. I'm not going to get ready to have healthy relationships. Now, let me tell you something, too. It's been, my uncle helped me with something the other day. And it helped me understand my difficulties in dating. He said, you were loved on and doted on so much, even to the day he died. My husband loved me from a whole place, right? He helped me in my healing. He said, that's the thing that you don't want to settle for. And I'm not settling for that. But at the same time, I've learned that I have to give people a chance to be themselves in the thing. That's the plan of action. Let me give somebody a chance to be themselves in this thing. So you got to, one, recognize your brokenness, right? For those of you that are coming in late, go watch the beginning of this. Recognize your brokenness. Two, make a decision. Today, this ends. Today, I'm done. Today, I'm making a decision. I'm not repeating these cycles. 3, and then the last thing is put a plan of action in place. That may involve you getting some help. Recognize those broken places, being overly critical, operating in unforgiveness, always constantly critiquing other people. You can't celebrate when someone else gets a victory or a win. You're not able to celebrate them. You're in repetitive cycles. What your language says, even the kind of friends that you have can determine where you're broken. Even the kind of friends that you have can determine where you're broken. So you got to look at that. And just because you have successful friends, because broken friends like being around each other, broken people that'll let you continuously be broken, right? No, you got to determine, you got to make some shifts. You got to make some moves. You got to make some adjustments. You got to make sure your whole tribe is striving, because whatever seeds get planted in you, you got to be afraid not to let people go, even if they're your family, if you're going to pick up the pieces. Sometimes you're going to have to pick up the pieces without the people that you started with. So God will give you a new family. He'll give you spiritual mothers, fathers. He'll give you family. Sometimes you just got to break away and love them from a different place so that you can get whole, so that you can move back in, and so that you can position yourself to come back and help them. You're only going to be able to save people around you when you're healthy and whole. You're only going to be able to save them when you're healthy and whole. And I'm going to tell you something. For those of us that are saved and believers, you don't gauge your wholeness. God does. God does. But you've got to be centered and seated in a position with him so that he can talk to you about whether or not you're whole or not. If you rush through your prayer time, rush through your study time, if you always in a position, you read scripture real quick, you won't break it down, you're not meditating on the word, you're not rewriting stuff, you're not going to hear God when he's really speaking to you, or when you need to be spoken to. It's not about a hype up. It's not about a feel good. It's not about all that. It's about learning things that are going to take you from level to level, from place to place, so that you can walk in the fullness. That's how you pick up the pieces. That's the strategy for picking up the pieces. Recognizing your brokenness, making a decision that you're going to get past it, and then putting a plan of action in place. And that plan of action may include you getting some help. Ain't no sense in you keep repeating what happened, it happened. Whatever happened, happened. Whatever happened, happened. I'm telling you, even in your broken relationships and your breakups, whatever happened, happened. It hurts, it don't feel good. But how do I get from this point to this point? Because I'm going to leave you with this. If you're distracted by your brokenness, your deficits, your lacks, whatever is going on around you, then you're probably not focused on your purpose and everything you'll have to do. When you're distracted, you're more likely to make mistakes that will hinder or hurt your process in the long run. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you about picking up the pieces. That's good. Buzz said on my Instagram, get a calendar, write it down, make a plan, chart yourself, feed your spirit good things. I feed myself stuff all day long, like all day long, all day long. You never wasting your time writing scriptures during your study time. Take your time. We in this society has us so rushed to be successful, rushed to be in this position, rushed. We leaving gaps because we so rushed. Don't be rushed. Take your time. You fell off your process, get your butt back up and start over again. Scripture says a just man falls 7 times. It's the get back up. It's the get back up. Make a decision. Okay, I didn't get it right today. I'm going to get it right. You failed today? Okay, I didn't get it right yesterday. I'm getting my butt back up, and I'm going to press into this thing until I get it right. And all the dusty places in you will begin to fall off. But don't forget to include God in your plan. You can have a good plan. That's not a God plan. And I've seen it. I've seen success without God, and I've seen it fail, and I've seen people break down because they can't figure out why it didn't work. And it was because God wasn't in the plan. He was a contingency plan, but he wasn't in the plan. Yep, my girl said, Shonda said, and you're getting better each time you get back up. I promise you're healing a little bit more each time you make a decision to get back up. So you want to pick up the pieces, identify your brokenness. I'm jacked up. This is where I'm jacked up. I don't have good, healthy relationships. I'm not good with my finances. My business didn't work because I didn't want to take no extra classes. Identify all your brokenness. Look at your language. What is in my language that identifies where I'm really, really at? Because your language is going to identify where you're really, really at. Look at your cycles. Look at the things that you keep cycling back to. Look at your excuses. Look at your excuses. I'm telling you, what are you eating on? What are you studying? What are you doing? What are you doing? What kind of positiveness? Even not just the word. If you're going to be a business owner, you got to study business things. Like, I'm connecting to stuff all day long. Like, what are you doing? What are you rehearsing? If you're talking about it, you're still rehearsing. You're not going to get healed talking about how sick you are. You're going to get healed talking about how well you are. Then make a decision and put an action plan in place. And when you make a decision and put an action plan in place, the environment, the energy, the laws, the world will begin to respond to you. It will begin to respond to you. Your environment will respond to you when you set the energy. I'm very protective about my house, who comes in my house. Very protective about the energy I have around me. Even when my friends call me and they like, you got 15 minutes. We got a 15-minute rule amongst my friends. You got 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we coming into a solution. So 15 minutes to cry, 15 minutes to be pissed off, 15 minutes upset. Okay, you over your 15 minutes. Why are we going to solve? Because if you don't put yourself a time frame on it, it'll just take over your life. It'll take over your life. It'll take over your life. It'll take over your life. That's any situation. If you got your relationship with your kids, it's fractured in pieces, same plan. This applies to your finances, your relationship with your kids, relationships with your parents. You can take this, apply it to anything, and I promise you, you'll begin to pick up the pieces and see things change. Come on, Jess. And I just wasted 8. Come on. And you'll waste 18, 20 minutes, and that was 20 minutes that you could have been using doing something else productive. Because the emotions are real. You get to have them. You just got to decide, how long am I going to cry in? When I was in grief, I cried less and less once I made the decision to get past it. Once I made a decision, I ain't finna hold on to this. My husband wouldn't want me to hold on to this. My husband would want me to be moving forward. When I made that decision, man, my kids got healthier. My relationships around me get healthy. My perspective, my body got physically healthy. And I started being centered on the things that I needed to be centered on. Well, I think that's great coffee and conversations for today. Picking up the pieces. Put this video in someone else's share. Share it in some groups. Don't, this pitiful victim, nah. We're going to take control of the things that we have control of. You have way more control over yourself than you think to. Even God knows that. God produces free will. God allows you to have you're a free moral. You can make a choice and a decision to serve God or not. So you're going to make a choice and a decision to pick up those pieces. And the only way you're going to do it is through what I'm telling you. It works. I've seen it in so many areas. When I've coached, when I put strategies in place, it works. It works. It works. So meditate on this. Come back to this. Don't be afraid to think you got something at once. Come back to it. Meditate on it. And watch yourself. You see yourself way more successful and way more victorious. I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining in on this Saturday. Just casual coffee and conversations. Thank you for your comments. Definitely praying for you. If you need prayer, email us at contact@LakeishaMJohnson.com. My team and I will pray for you. We're here to serve you. We love to serve. We love to get in position and pray for each other. Connect with me, Coffee and Conversations with Lakeisha, at Just Being LMJ, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Subscribe to the website. Love you guys so, so much. I've got a free life strategy coming at the end of the month. But the only way that you get in on the free life strategy sessions is that you're connected to the website, and I send that out in an email. So make sure you subscribe to the website so that you can get connected. I'll see you guys Monday morning at 5 a.m. for the daily devotional. You can't be there at 5 a.m. Tap in. We've been missing you at Bible study. Tap in and do me a favor and go be loved today. Let someone else experience the love of God through you. Peace.